Hello folks and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I'm conquest and this is going to be part 3 of my early campaign where I'm playing as France. And it has been a while since I did play that last episode. I miss this campaign. I was really looking forward to getting into it when I started it. And if you did miss my post on my channel, the reason why my production on this channel has been a lot slower recently is just because I'm going to be busy with work over the course of this summer, really until the end of October. I'm going to be quite busy, so my uploads are going to be pretty sporadic. I do apologize for that, but that's just going to be the way it is, and I'll be getting around to my campaigns when I can. So for today, I'm looking forward to this campaign. The first 2 episodes, I was pretty nervous about, just to kind of see how they turned out. As I had mentioned before, I hadn't had a chance to really practice this campaign recently, so my opening moves weren't as polished as I wanted them to be. And I think that we still might see some repercussions from that because, well, in this case, I kind of forgot to get an alliance with the Spanish. And now we bordered the Spanish. Now I do have Princess Margaret on the way. She's going to be talking to the Spanish king as soon as possible to try to find a husband. And hopefully that works out. We are allied with the Aragonese and the Germans, and the English no longer exist. So there is a sizable enough rebel force here in Wessex for me to think that I should keep a handful of units. Rebel armies can become aggressive if they do see an opening. You know, if you're really just leaving a province guarded by 1 unit of peasants, they can attack. So far I have 3 urban militia and 2 archers, and I'm going to be bringing over one of my sons. This is my eldest son, Prince Philip. 3 loyalty, not great. So having him fighting underneath Lord of Boulogne, with his really good loyalty, that's going to be where I want him. And obviously his unit of heavy cav is going to be welcome in that army as well. Because the only province where I can train any combat troops is going to be Ile-de-France. I can only train urban militia and archers. That is it. So urban militia, archers, peasants, and then my 3 heavy cav units in the form of my 2 sons and my king. So my second son is going to be here, Prince Jean. And yeah, he's going to be hanging out with these 2 archers, and then it's going to be Lord of Bouillon and Toulouse with his ballista as well. Going to be kind of hanging out and keeping an eye on the Aragonese. They have taken Valencia. I can tell that because the king's not here, so he must be here. And the bad news is that all of the Iberian factions, the Almohads, the Spanish, and the Aragonese, are all allied with each other, which is annoying because that's the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, that's one of those things that really does happen, you know, in every single every campaign. They always ally, and you're like, come on, guys, what about the Reconquista? You got to be fighting each other. But no, they're like homies for a while. And right now, so what that means is, yeah, the only faction that the Spanish are not allied to, that they are bordering, is me. So I want to fix that. And they have a sizable enough army here as well, led by their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-star king. Yeah, pretty scary. I don't have a lot here in Aquitaine, actually. So I would have to, let's see, 2 archers. I have like a half-strength spearman, a ballista, and then my king, and then an urban militia. And are you going to come down? Okay, so next turn I can bring that archer down as well. And yeah, we're going to keep training our soldiers in Ile-de-France. Really what I'm doing right now is building up my keeps everywhere, and I think literally everywhere. I think the only place that's not building a keep right now is going to be Ile-de-France, which is working on its curtain wall. So it's almost there. And once I have that curtain wall finished in Ile-de-France, I'll have to decide where I want to go next. Maybe, let's see, what's going to be the thing that I prioritize? I'm tempted, you know what, I'm probably tempted to build the next level administrative building so that I can just start pumping out Royal Knights, honestly. I think it's very thematic for the French to just have, you know, heavy cav in the early game. Now there's just going to be 20-man units, so nothing too obscene, but there are strong units. They can really punch through the enemy, and yeah, I think that's going to be like thematic to get some Royal Knights and then have them garrison each of these keeps with their curtain walls, and they might prove a formidable light defense. you know, so that I can keep my garrison costs down for each of, you know, I have a long border here. And instead of having all these huge border armies, I can just have a unit of Royal Knights, which can dismount to Feudal Foot Knights, which is a very good sword unit, albeit only 20 man strong. And then, yeah, I would also have my, you know, 100 man unit of peasants just to be there as well, to keep, you know, those brigand rebellions away. And yeah, that's probably going to be my next priority after this curtain wall is finished here in Ile-de-France. So other than that, yeah, we got some time left before these keeps are going. So it's kind of a nerve-wracking moment of the campaign for sure, because I'm so lightly defended. I'm so spread out, and I'm basically kind of just counting on the goodwill of my neighbors. In my practice campaigns, the Germans never ever betrayed me. And typically, I think that that's because they usually get embroiled in other conflicts, whether with the Italians or the Poles or the Hungarians. But I don't want to, as I've already kind of mentioned before, I don't want to put too much weight on my practice campaigns, despite the fact that I did practice this campaign so much more than on any other campaign I've ever practiced for this channel. Despite that, I still don't want to, like, you know, I'm not that confident. So, in my experience, the Aragonese, they don't give a fuck. They'll break any promise. So I think that it's going to be important to garrison Toulouse and Aquitaine sufficiently just to keep the Aragonese in check. And tiny garrison, and this will be enough for Flanders, and possibly something in Ile-de-France again, just to kind of keep an eye on the Germans. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Hopefully that's not too much. Hopefully that's not too much garrison, but eventually we'll be making more money to support those costs, and I think that's going to be coming from prioritizing sea trade. So I don't have any farmland built up except for in Aquitaine, which I did inherit this farmland from the English, and I'm just going to be skipping farm upgrades for now, just to prioritize getting boats in the water so that I can link up with the Levant and start planning an attack on Tripoli as soon as possible. The double benefit of that is that I will also be building up my ship trade. By doing that, Toulouse can trade silk, and then Aquitaine can trade wine. Brittany can trade linen. Normandy doesn't have any trade goods. Flanders can trade wool and silk and grain. And then for those of you who are new to this game, so the way this works is that you place your trading fleets by having a boat in each sea region, and you create a line, an unbroken line. And if you create an unbroken line between your ports, so I would have to build a port in Toulouse, of course, when my ports start connecting to other ports, then trade happens between those ports. Now, there's not going to be trade between my own ports of my own faction, right? That's not how that works. Now, there is land-based trade within my own lands. So, for instance, Anjou and Ile-de-France and Champagne all have trade goods. And in this case, if I did build a trading post, they still would be making an income, not as much as ports make. The income that ports make is insane. It's really, really strong. And it's something that is, I want to say it's like a little bit overbalanced. It's too bad that in Total War games, at least the ones that I've played so far, sea trade really does outweigh, the effectiveness of land trade. It is too bad because historically, land trade, in landlocked regions was still very important. Maybe like during the colonial period when you really had like global trade with, between like the New World and India and all that, maybe sea trade was like really powerful. I don't know anything about trade, as you can tell, or economics. But I understand that like there's these landlocked places and regions, at least in the pre-modern era, like the medieval era and the ancient era. Like think like Petra, like Petra somewhere is like down here, and you can think like, why was it so rich and powerful? Like it was in the middle of the desert, basically, kind of. And it's because it connected like the Mediterranean, and you can kind of go over the desert and to the other whatever is on the other side of the Arabian Peninsula. That's powerful. That's power. And same thing with the Atlas Mountains here. The people that I know in the medieval times, was it the Sahanja or fuck, I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the tribal conglomerate that was in the South Atlas Mountains. But it's the same idea. Like, they control the trade routes between the Mediterranean and, like, Ghana, you know? So all that gold that's coming from down there, you know, that's vital. That's vital stuff. Or even, if this is off map, but, like, Central Asia with, you know, Afghanistan and, like, Uzbekistan. And it's like, there's these really rich, you know, cities, like, in the mountains and shit, like, way out there. And it's because they connected, like, India and East Asia and the Mediterranean all together, like, in a central area. And I really feel like that's just been kind of forgotten, like how powerful that is in at least the Total War games that I have played. So it's unfortunate, you know, you have these landlocked trade goods and you're like, yeah, sweet. But then it just doesn't make as much as the seaborne trade, which is, yeah, it's a little too bad. But still, I can make money that way off of my sea, you know, my sea trade once I get my ports or my boats in the water. This is going to be money that I will be making more of as the campaign goes along, but just currently, if I literally just had 2 boats in the water here, I'd be trading with Genoa and Corsica. And then if I had 4 boats, I could be trading with Sicily. 6 boats, I could be trading with Croatia, the Papal States, and Venice. So it really does add up pretty quickly here. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to accomplishing. But that's going to be the overview. I do have my emissary who's looking for a wife for, I think Prince Philip is already married. Yes, you are. It's going to be Prince Jean, who is not married. Yeah, I need to get the guy a wife. And King is 45. All right, so he has time left. Here we are in the next turn, and I still think, yeah, Royal Court is going to be the way to go. It's going to take 4 turns to build this and 1,000 florins. And yeah, this is going to give me the Royal Knights. I think that's the most important thing right now. The Ballista Towers for that extra defensive upgrade, I don't value that highly right now. Getting some trade would be nice, but again, it's landlocked, so it's not going to be that much money. Farm upgrades, yes, for economy, very good idea. But again, I just think that this is going to be the way to go. I think getting inns so that I could hire mercenaries, just in case of an emergency, is going to be something that I do start to prioritize at some point. But I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be. Yeah, getting mercenaries, yeah, it's a nice thing. Inns are very nice. It's just hard to know because you don't get them in every single province. I typically, if I like build them everywhere, it seems like there's like 2 or 3 provinces where mercenaries become available. And I'm not quite sure what determines that. I don't know, you know, how that's decided. If I knew how that is decided, then I would know, like, okay, just build inns here and here instead of everywhere. Still, they are relatively cheap buildings. They only cost 400 florins. And they take 2 turns to build, which it really isn't much, but still, I think that Royal Court is going to be the way to go here in Ile-de-France. Oh, wonderful. Nice. So the Spanish king has accepted my offer of a marriage, and that should be getting us an alliance with them. So yeah, that's very, very nice. Yeah, I don't know, when I was comparing the likelihood of the Aragonese versus the Germans to betray me, and I determined that in my experience it has been the Aragonese. The Spanish, on the other hand, seem to be somewhat in the middle of the two. They're not the first ones to jump on in, but I feel like I've seen them jump on in, like if the Aragonese will do so. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm just misremembering things from my English campaign. But yeah, I'm not too worried about the Spanish betraying me, but you know, that sort of confidence always makes me nervous. So maybe I'll just take that back. Let's see, Archer. Let's just bring it down to Archer here. And Urban Militia, I want you guys in Aquitaine, because right now I don't have... Yeah, I just have a couple... Yeah, that half-strength spearman. I can't even retrain that spearman, because I don't have a spearmaker yet. Yeah. We are running things pretty tight right now. Now, a Lord of Bouillon has gotten a pretty interesting trait here. Most honest is usually it's a pretty good trait. +2 loyalty, and then +1 morale, and -1 acumen. So 2 good things and a bad thing. Builder also +10 happiness as well. How's his acumen then? Because I'm pretty sure that Lord of Bouillon is he's a governor, correct? down to Flanders. And yeah, that's tough. Flanders is my money-making province. And so that's going to bring him down to a 5, which is still respectable for sure. But yeah, 6 was way better. So I should keep an eye out for someone who is looking like they might make for a better governor for Flanders at some point. Maybe down the line. Maybe right now we're probably fine. I feel like when it comes to natural just natural captains of units, I don't tend to see people get higher than 4 unless maybe they're a historical character. Now that my keep has been finished in a few of my provinces like Toulouse and Champagne and Brittany, I'm going to start building the curtain wall in Toulouse and Champagne because those are both frontier provinces. However, Brittany is safe, right? It doesn't really need that curtain wall. It needs the keep though. The keep is going to be necessary so that I can build the next tier. I need to build the port first. And then the port is not going to actually let me build any boats. The port is just like a trading function kind of thing. You know, it's just a connecting point for trade links. And it also for shipping off like units and stuff. If you want to, move armies around, you need a port. For building boats, it's going to be the shipwright, which is what I needed the keep for. So getting a port here first is going to be nice. Skipping that curtain wall here just to get ahead of myself a little bit here is going to be nice as well. So yeah, we should be getting boats. Yeah, I need to build the port, and then the shipwright should be another 4 turns. And then I can start building boats here in Brittany first. And now, 4 turns later, the royal court has been finished. So, that's going to be very useful. Very, very nice. Yeah, keep finished here in Anjou as well. And yeah, the Aragonese has declined my marriage proposal. I was trying to get my second son married to their princess. And who is this going to be? Sir Pierre de Richemont, +1 acumen. I'll check in on that. So it's going to be you. Okay, that's 5 acumen. Naturally, that's 5 acumen. And clever with words. I wonder if that's going to increase over time. You might be someone who I want to make the governor of Flanders. Man, I was just saying too that you don't see higher than 4 acumen typically for regular captains. Did we get a new thing? Did we get a new? Yeah, I feel like one of these is new, right? Tripoli is new. Yeah, that's right. Tripoli, that's right. It was kind of strange, right? Because these 3 were included as part of the homelands, Edessa, Antioch, and Palestine. But then Tripoli wasn't, despite the fact that you need it for the Crack de Chevalier. So, yeah, it's interesting. Just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It's like, yeah, I physically can't get that, in the year 1101. So, actually, wait a minute. Actually, I say that the next counting period is going to be in 1125. So yeah, we just had a counting period, right? In the year 1100. And I didn't get the message because I hadn't achieved all my objectives, which is, lame, but whatever. So yeah, 9 points for me. And then everyone else is, yeah, so it looks like I'm kind of like middle of the pack. The Byzantines, the Almohads, the Germans, and the Italians are all higher than me. The Hungarians are higher than me as well. But then there are some factions that are lower than me as well. So yeah, we just have to get those objectives and we should be doing okay. But it's gonna be a little while. Now, is it gonna be before the year 1125? I don't think so. I still think that's pretty ambitious. Yeah, that's a little ambitious. I'm trying to think. I should sit down and do the math because I haven't done the math in a while on how long it takes to build up a fort, keep, castle, and citadel, so that I know how much time I need here in Tripoli to get that Crack de Chevalier objective. I really need to do that. I haven't done that in a while. So yeah, I think it's like around is it like 1140, 1145 is when I need to have Tripoli to be able to get that built in time. Will also give me just a little bit of leeway, like a couple of turns there, just as a buffer. Don't want to be calling it, exactly to the year, right? Be nice to have a little bit of a buffer there. So that is going to be the goal. So now that my curtain wall is finished here in Toulouse, I can start building a port here as well. So that's going to just be a little bit behind the port in Brittany. Anjou can build that curtain wall. Ile-de-France, I'm going to have to think of something. Champagne, now this is going to be an interesting choice. Do I see... I can only train military stuff in Ile-de-France, so obviously I'm going to want to supplement that at some point. And what I'm thinking is, off the top of my head, if Toulouse, Aquitaine, Brittany, Normandy, and Flanders, you know, being my 5 coastal provinces, are all pumping out boats, then that leaves my 3 interior provinces to produce the military. And that's a pretty rough breakdown, but I think that's what it's going to be. So again, off the top of my head, if I'm looking at Ile-de-France can already train archers, urban militia, and heavy cav. And I can start getting these guys out as well. So yeah, the Royal Knights are an elite royal household guard. The combination of male armored horses and lances makes them formidable enough, but their dedication in serving their king makes them fearsome indeed. The king and royal princess command small groups of these knights, raising extra royal knights as possible but costly. Yeah, 62% support cost, but they are useful at this point of the campaign, so I will be getting these guys right away, just to garrison every single frontier province, for sure. And yeah, what do I want to... is it time now to, like, deviate a little bit? Or should I be going straight towards my chapter house? I need a church to get a chapter house. Churches take 4 turns. They cost 200 florins. The nice thing about churches is that they do raise the morale of every unit that's trained there. So getting it earlier rather than later is better because, you know, every unit will have +1 morale afterwards. So that's pretty important. It's tempting to go with farm upgrades for some more money. It's tempting to go with watchtower just to bang it out and get that extra 10% happiness bonus and obviously visibility on my neighbors as well. The Germans are there, and it would be nice to kind of just see what they have. You know, these are some pretty big stacks, so getting watchtowers on my border provinces just to kind of see what's going on would be nice. But is that too much of a luxury? I know it seems silly. It's only 1 turn. It's only 100 florins. But is it more important for me to really just crack down here and go, you know, church, military, chapter house? Maybe not chapter house. Now, I'm a little bit confused about how this works because I'm pretty sure... So it's like when you have crusade markers already built up and sitting in your province and they haven't been, you know, assigned yet to a crusade objective. When that province is invaded, those crusade markers get automatically destroyed. And, you know, even if they have not been assigned, and then you can be causing a loyalty or, I'm sorry, a influence hit to your king. Now, if you're invaded, now if you don't have any crusade markers already built up, though, the chapter house, it gets auto destroyed if you're attacked by a non-Christian, non-Catholic faction. Even if you do retreat to your garrison, that chapter house still gets auto-destroyed if you're attacked by an Orthodox or Muslim faction. However, if I was attacked by a Catholic faction, and I didn't have any crusade markers already built, does the chapter house, it doesn't get auto-destroyed? That would be blasphemous, you know, for the Germans, right? So would I be getting that same, like, penalty? Do you get a penalty from just the chapter house being destroyed? I'm actually not sure about that. Yeah, I'm not 100% on how that works. And it's probably too risky, you know? Like, I probably do want a chapter house in Normandy or Brittany. Just because these are my only 2 provinces that don't border other factions. Just to keep them safe, you know? Yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Ah, while I'm over here, my emissary, well, who was trying to get the Aragonese princess to marry into my family, has discovered that the Poles have bribed the rebels here in Moldavia, so they're going to be taking Moldavia. Good for them. Yeah, I wonder how the Poles are going to do. In my last campaign, the Poles are actually doing pretty well, which is kind of surprising. So I need to find a princess to marry into my family. Should I go a Danish princess here? Should I go Spanish princess here? What's going to be the easiest for me to get to? Is there any ports nearby? God damn it. It's gonna be a while. Yeah, it's gonna be a while. I'll look into trying to marry the Spanish princess just to see. I don't know if that like further solidifies our relationship with the Spanish, but we'll give it a shot. We're not bordering the Danes, so that wouldn't be as important. Now my port is finished here in Brittany, and I can start building the shipwright. 4 turns, 400 florins. Yes, here we go. It's going to allow us to build the barks here, so let's get that going in Brittany. And I think there's a few other building options I need to put in. Toulouse is working on the port. Anjou. So Anjou, as I said before, is going to be another military province. I think since I'm going to be... So I built a town watch here in Champagne, and that's a prerequisite to get me a spear maker. Yeah, spears. Spears are good. I'm going to be fighting... So out in the Levant, I think that like a basic spear wall and with backed by archers with a little bit of cav support is kind of all you need. Let's see, if I did that, I could also get a town guard just for some militia sergeants as well. A way better version of the urban militia for sure. Very, very, I mean, not very, very good, but very solid. Very overlooked, I'd say. But let's just go Spearmaker for now. That would also allow me to retrain my busted spear unit that's been sitting here in Aquitaine forever. So yeah, let's do that there. And then, you know what I'm thinking actually is getting, let's get going on inns. Starting in Anjou. And how's my income looking? Making 1700. Okay, so that's been pretty steady actually. That's where I was at the beginning of the episode, so I'll take it. And yeah, we're going to be getting boats out relatively soon. I'm getting nervous because I'm seeing these like Sicilian boats and Italian boats in the water. And there's no Italian boats visible right now, but they're out there, trust me. And now it's not dangerous until they get a line of boats, you know, to your provinces, and then they could start, you know, getting naval invasions. And that can be very disruptive at this point of the campaign where you can't protect your own coastline with your own boats. You are very vulnerable, you know, like all of a sudden you're going from thinking, oh, Brittany is safe and Normandy is safe to being like, oh, fuck, they're invading Normandy or Brittany, my places that don't have any defenses. So, yeah, it's a very disruptive thing that can happen. Oh, wow. So the Byzantine Emperor has been captured and executed. There's an heir that has taken over. And we have another son on the way. Huzzah. Okay, yes, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. So now the Spanish and the Aragonese are at war with each other, and obviously I'm going to be remaining allies with the Spanish, who are my neighbors and my Catholic brethren. So do I wish to remain allied to the Spanish? Yes, I do. And Lord of Bayonne is a clever with words, so +1 acumen. Keep an eye on that. Is that... Well, you're already a governor, yeah. Yeah, you're just getting better and better, aren't you? Duke of Normandy. Do you want to be Duke of Flanders? No, it's only 5 acumen. It's the same as the other Duke, Lord Governor guy. So we're fine for now. But right now we are spreading out our Royal Knights. So far, all of them have been 1-star generals, which is handy. Yeah, that's handy. I'll take that. Decent acumen as well on 2 of them. 2 of them have 4 acumen, which is also nice. Yeah, that's nice. All right, so yeah, let's just keep spreading these guys out. I'm prioritizing my basically undefended provinces first, Anjou, Ile-de-France, and Champagne. Undefended and, you know, being border provinces. Toulouse, Aquitaine, and Flanders are all okay for now, but they will be the next recipients of my Royal Knights coming on out. And once that's finished, I'm going to feel so much better. I think we're 1 turn away from having the curtain wall in Flanders finished. And then once that's finished, I think that we're good. No, 1 turn. Yeah, same in Aquitaine. 1 turn left before the curtain wall is finished. Yeah, that's going to be... I'm going to feel so much more secure once that is set. Yeah. And that's going to be a good feeling. So 1 turn before the port is finished in Toulouse, and then we can start building the ship right there as well. All right, we are on our way. Income is still 1700. And I'm going to have to start to transition towards economy at some point. I can't just keep neglecting economy, but we'll see. Oh yeah, here we go. So the Spanish did conquer Cordoba. Yeah. There's still this garrison here. Archers, militia sergeants, javelins. Almohad urban militia, which is a good sword unit. And the camel archers. There's no general here in Cordoba. And the Spanish have their 5-star Prince Sancho. Ooh, 1 loyalty. Oh, fuck. Oh, wow. Huh, that's not good. How's the influence on this guy? Oh, I can't see him. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I wonder. Typically, the influence for the starting kings of factions is typically okay. So, yeah, I wonder. That's bad. A lot of Genites in there. Archers. Yeah, the Spanish go heavy with that Genite spam because they can train it, I think, from turn 1, I think. Those Genites, those Javcav units, pretty solid for sure, but I don't think that, you know, you need to train that many of them. That's a bit much. Here we have knighthood. So the code of knighthood binds men to behave in a brave and honorable manner, defend the weak, protect the virtuous, and give and receive every courtesy to friends and foes alike. Chivalry is an ideal that is not always achieved, but its emphasis on virtue helps to spread the Catholic faith more widely. And again, I'm not sure, I wonder exactly, so that does make it sound like that's having an effect on the campaign map, causing Catholicism to grow in places that are already predominantly Catholic. I'm not quite so sure. Is that just literally everywhere? Like every province is getting a little bit of taste of that Catholicism? Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works, but I guess that's having a good effect since I am Catholic myself. The faction, not me. And, ooh, okay, so the Spanish king has declined my marriage proposal. I should have asked the Danes. I always ask the Danes. They always say yes. I got a daughter on the way. And magnificent builder. Yeah, hell yeah. +2 loyalty to all generals and then +10 happiness. And got builder for you as well. Alright, let's see if we can find ourselves. Let's keep looking. Where, okay, so no Danish princesses are, damn it. Alright, so no one is visible. Wait, what's this? Oh, that's emissary. Alright, we'll have to look the old-fashioned way, province by province, to try to find a princess to marry into. And now that my Spearmaker is finished in Champagne, I think I'm going to go straight for Spearmaker's Workshop. Again, because I have that keep built up already, I can just go straight to that and get my tier 2 spear units, my feudal sergeants, which are quite solid. You know, they are quite a decent step up from basic spearmen. And quite frankly, that's what I'd rather invade, like conquer the Levant with, is a unit like that, rather than just like a bunch of tier 1 stuff. Just gives me a better chance. And I'm kind of thinking as well, as you know, as you can kind of tell, is by skipping the tier 1 stuff and skipping all that chaff and all those like, you know, upkeep and expenses and going straight for tier 2, I could essentially, in theory, have a better army than the other factions around me at, you know, less of a cost by having, well, less men, but hopefully more effective is going to be the idea here. So yeah, let's go Champagne, Spearmaker's Workshop. Again, it's cheap. Pretty much, I think all the training buildings in this game are pretty cheap, pretty affordable. You can just get like all of them in every province if you have enough time for it. So let's do that, and then I still might do Town Guard for the militia sergeants at some point. And yeah, now I'm just going Watchtower in Ile-de-France, Border-Fort in Anjou. I have a little extra time in my interior provinces to get the superfluous stuff, and then I'll probably transition over to farm upgrades somewhat soon. I'm getting there. I'll get there. Let's see, Flanders, what do you want? Port? Yeah, you're ready for a port. Let's go. Now I have another son who has come of age, Prince Louis. So he's going to be my 3rd son, and I'm going to take a look at him soon here in a moment. And Sufism. So Abu Hamad al-Ghazali is one of Islam's greatest scholars, a jurist, philosopher, mystic, and the father of Sufism. His work rejects both Aristotle and the rationalism of much Islamic thinking, focusing instead on the religion's mystical aspects. His philosophy of Islam is deeply appealing, bringing many into the faith in Turkish provinces. Alright, not going to have any effect on me. And Lord of Bouillon, magnificent builder, +1 happiness, +2 loyalty, wonderful. And Prince Louis, what about you? So 2-star general, okay, that's something. And then +2 morale and +1 loyalty for the natural leader, which is great. Secret pride, which is not as great. So he would have been a 3-star, but this is going to give him -1 command, +3 valor. So he's going to be a solid fighter in battle as well. And how's his loyalty? His most important thing. Nice, finally, good loyalty on the guy. Hell yeah, that's nice. And now my loyalty on these guys, my other sons, has risen just because he was at 3 loyalty, Prince Jean and Prince Philippe. But I think that my king's traits actually have raised their loyalty. That is his like magnificent builder traits. He's giving +2 loyalty to all generals. So I think that's helping out as well. His influence I think is like raised 1 since the beginning of the campaign. I think that might be it. So when he does die, we'll have to keep an eye on the sons just because they will be losing those loyalty, boosts from him. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So let me just look at this again because I want to keep an eye on this. It's been suspected that the son that is, doesn't get to be king will lose some loyalty. And I was pretty suspicious of that being an actual thing. But in the last campaign, I feel like I finally started to observe and, pay attention and then observed that might actually be true. And so I kind of want to keep a closer eye on that in this campaign since my king is getting kind of close to dying. So Prince Jean is at 6 loyalty and he is the 2nd eldest. So he will be passed up by Prince Philip, who has also 6 loyalty. So they're looking good. And then you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loyalty. So you're going to be fine regardless, but I want to see as well if he's going to be losing any of his loyalty as well. But he can command his own army if I want him to, which is tempting. Yeah, it's tempting to bring him somewhere important, like, oh, I don't know, Ile-de-France, maybe. And now our 4th son has come of age, Prince Charles. Here we go. So yeah, that's going to be very nice. Looks like another 2-star general by the looks of it. And the shipwright has finally been built here in Brittany. And look at that, a couple princesses have shown up. So let's go talk to the Danes this time, not the Poles. And another daughter is on the way. Prince Charles. So weak principles. That's unfortunate because it doesn't mean anything. So it's not that bad. -20% to bribery cost. You can't bribe family members, so it doesn't matter. It's just, unfortunate that it's not like anything cool. Loyalty is good though. Loyalty is good, which is really, all we care about, right? So let's get Prince Louis to Ile-de-France to hang out there. Spears are going to go to Champagne to get retrained. And let's bring you over to Brittany. It's because Brittany is the only place I haven't been able to keep on very high taxes so far. So we're going to be able to... They must have an inherent disloyalty mechanic in Brittany. There's certain provinces that have that. The top 5 are like Portugal, Scotland, Livonia, Lithuania, and then somewhere else. But Brittany must also be like on that scale, that spectrum somewhere, just because, yeah, they've still been kind of iffy, despite not having anything like, I don't know, like special about, like they're not, for instance, like they're not any more, like less garrisoned than Normandy, but Normandy is fine with their loyalty, so that's interesting. And yeah, before I forget, let's go, oh, you're right here, okay, well, there's 2 perfectly fine ladies right here we can talk to, Princess Letizia and the German princess, Princess Jutta. Let's talk to the Germans again, just because we're neighbors and that might matter. And now we can start building our barks, our first tier boat that's available to us. Going to cost 700 florins, and the upkeep is going to be 20 florins per turn. And that does get more expensive the further it gets from a friendly port, which is a really interesting mechanic. I really like how like organic that feels, just because it kind of gives you a reason if you wanted to take Sardinia and Corsica or Malta. Those places don't have like trade goods, I don't think, like any of them. Sicily does, but they don't, and then neither does Crete, Rhodes, and Cyprus. And it's so counterintuitive because like we know historically that these were, you know, valuable ports, right? We know that they were, you know, just as like a intermediary, you know, even if they didn't have their own local resources. And in a sense, this game does represent that by saying that if you own these places, you're not making money from them, but you'd be reducing the upkeep of your fleets, which are nearby. And that scales by the distance from the port. So like maybe it might be like 20 foreigns per turn, and a port that's like, you know, literally like, you know, next to one of your own ports. That might go to like, you know, 20 here, it might go to 40, 40 might go to 60. So it does, you kind of, in a sense, save a lot of money by having friendly ports in areas that you don't necessarily like are going to be making money from its own local resources, which is, it's kind of neat. It's still not as much money as you could be making from like, I don't know, transport taxes or whatever. Again, I don't know how economy works, but, you know, historically these were, you know, rich areas for those reasons. It doesn't quite match up to that framework, but still it's an attempt, and I do appreciate that attempt by CA. Oh shit, here we go. So the English do reappear in Northumbria. Yeah, of course, because it is a rebel territory and it's Northumbria. So yeah, that was to be expected as long as they, you know, are up there and not in my territory, which, you know, I've been checking. I've been making sure that all of my provinces, especially my provinces that used to be owned by the English, I was making sure that they all remained above 120% loyalty for this reason. So yes, an heir of the last ruling lineage who escaped detection has organized a rebellion in an attempt to reestablish his faction. A number of provinces previously held by rebels have joined his cause. A number of other rebellions in progress have declared allegiance to his faction. And yeah, so he's getting 2 provinces. And number of provinces being attacked is 1. And yeah, the Germans did decline my marriage proposals. That's unfortunate. Oh, well, here we go. Okay, yeah, that's just fine. So it's going to be the Polish princess. Princess Ursula is going to be trying to marry us, and that's not going to be getting us an alliance with the Poles, but, you know, meh, doesn't really matter that much. I'll take the marriage. And for Prince Louis as well, the Danes, yeah, wonderful. Prince Tyra? Sure. Yeah, why not? And we have another son on the way. Is that number 5 or 6? Jesus, I don't know. A lot. That is a lot. So pride plus 3 valor, minus 2 command, minus 2 acumen. And this is again from a governor. Damn. Shoot. That's bad. And secret blackmailer for this guy. Oh, Lord of Bouillon and Lord of Boulogne. Man, I was wondering, I was like, man, do I have 2 governors that have the same name? No, they're very close though. And secret blackmailer is, it's kind of gross just because that means that, when it's discovered, he will lose 3 loyalty. It's not discovered yet. It's still secret, but yeah. His loyalty is good. 1, 2, 3. So he'd still be fine, I guess. So I think we're fine. Yeah, so king is 57. And now he has 3 sons who are married, which is good. That's a good step. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, the English are back on my border. We're not at war with them. No, we are not. So I imagine that they're going to be having, you know, Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria, I guess. Just their original territories. And then not Wales. Yeah, so I have to be on my guard. For sure. Maybe, yeah, maybe beef up my army in Flanders a little bit more. I think I can afford it. I mean, I'm making 1,400 now, so I'm losing a little bit of money, but I'm going to be getting ships out soon. 2 turns before this boat's finished, and 1 turn before the shipwright in Toulouse is finished, so we're getting there. Man, this just makes me nervous having enemy boats, or not enemy, but other factions' boats on my coasts that I can't, you know, defend against. That makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah. Now the Byzantines are asking for an alliance, and considering my future objectives, there is some temptation there. You know, we could possibly use their help in our fight against the Egyptians and the Turks. However, unfortunately, they are at war with the Italians. The Italians can be sneaky like that. They start off, I think, the campaign with a boat, And that boat allows the Italians to attack the Byzantine territories in the Balkans, like immediately from the beginning of the campaign, which is super annoying when you're playing as the Byzantines. So yeah, no surprise there. It's probably not that, like, it's probably not like a heavy intensity war between the two factions. The Italians probably just like invaded Greece or something, and then the, Byzantines had to fight them off. Unfortunately though, the thing is, I want the Italians on my side, because they're going to have boats in the water at the same time that I'm going to be trying to get boats in the water, and I don't want them to be attacking me, so I'm going to have to decline the Byzantine offer there. Now, I do have my first boat in the water here. However, I'm a little bit nervous because there is a Sicilian galley right here. Now, the galley, I think, what are their stats? Attack 1, defense 1, speed 2. So 1, 1, and 2. I think my stats are 1, 1, and 3. No, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So yeah, I have more defense, more speed. So you would think that I have the advantage if they were to try to attack me. Whether or not I could win that fight isn't really, it's kind of beside the point. The thing is that I want to avoid a war in the first place. And on the open seas is where the AI can become the most ornery. Like, they can start just pointless wars for no reason, just attacking your boats, and you're like, what the fuck, and then you're just at war with someone who you didn't want to be at war with, which means that you're not trading with them, which can be very consequential. Again, it's not even like the military aspect of it, it's just that you just lost a trading partner, which can be devastating if you've built your economy up on trade. Yeah, that's a tough thing. And if you're trying to, for instance, like me, use overseas expansion through the navies, then just having like a couple boats, again, even if you had like a stronger navy than them, if they start that war, then just a couple of their boats are going to be blockading potentially your path to your conquest, engagement. What am I trying to say? Zone of fucking shit. Fuck. What, I can't think of the word. Yeah, that thing. And that can be very annoying. So the idea here is to get an extra boat, and doubling up on the navies and having 2 boats per, navy stack essentially is a pretty solid way to avoid the AI doing the stupid little attacks, because then they just know not to do it. However, it's going to take 3 more turns to build that boat. So I do have a higher speed boat. This is going to kind of seems kind of silly, but I'm tempted to do a little bit of back and forth here between the 2 sea regions just to try to stay away from that Sicilian galley. I think the idea here is as long as I move ahead of them, they can't catch me because they have a slower speed boat. I think that's how that works. I've also taken a little bit of a break from training units in Ile-de-France, just so that I, again, don't get too crazy with my upkeep costs. Until I do really start making money from my navies, it's going to be a little dicey here. Eventually, I'm going to have to go full steam ahead with building up a crusade army. But I'm going to try to, like, time it out correctly so that it happens not too, it's finished, like, not too long before I'm ready to set it overseas. Yeah, the timing is going to be a pretty close kind of thing here. The issue, though, is that, as I pointed out before, these guys are 62 upkeep per unit, which is, that adds up. And my feudal sergeants as well. I haven't trained any yet, despite the fact that I can train these guys. This is my 2nd tier spearmen. The feudal society is a hierarchy, and each rung of the ladder is expected to serve those above. Feudal sergeants are a class below knights, but above landless peasants, and are often professional soldiers. Many lords will send these spearmen into battle as reliable medium infantry. Again, solid, I do want them, but they cost 62 support costs, the same as a royal knight. So I don't really want to go with a bunch of these right now, just because I'm not quite economically, sound and stable enough, but to really support that. So I'm playing things pretty high and tight, but again, if you're looking like these, I know these German sacks are scary looking, but it's a lot of peasants, right? Urban militia sergeants, okay, sure, fair enough. That's a tier 2 unit, but, spearmen, urban militia, 3 peasants, 4 peasants, militia sergeants, 2 spearmen. It's a lot of peasants, that really adds a lot of bulk to these armies. Yeah, there's some more spearmen here still, you know, 1 archer, 3, 4 urban militia, 2 peasants. Probably their best army that I've seen so far. 3 spearmen, urban militia, peasants, and we don't know what they have. But, you know, it's not the scariest stuff. You know, it can be tough just by, you know, swarming me and overwhelming me. It can be a tricky fight for sure, but hopefully they end up at war with someone soon. They're not currently fighting anyone. Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, not gonna lie. Now I have my first bishops in Egyptian territory here in the Levant, and we get a sight on this Egyptian army here, and holy hell, that is a lot of urban militia. 2-star general, so there is that, but yeah, there's a whole stinking urban militia stack. 1 unit of Nubian spears. This is the unit. This is a weird unit. The Egyptians start with this unit. As you can see, it's a 60-man unit. It's supposed to be 100. It's weird. And it's kind of annoying because when you play as the Egyptians, you're like, man, what am I going to do with the 60-man spear unit? Like, it's not the normal. That's not the right size, you know? So you have to build up a, you know, spear maker so that you can retrain this unit that you start off the campaign with. It's really bizarre. Yeah, so urban militias, Nubian spears, this is a good spearman. Nubian spears are good. Their stats are very similar to feudal sergeants. I don't think it's quite as good, but they do have the disciplined trait, which the feudal sergeants do not. And what this means is that they're not going to be affected by the fleeing friendly units. So fleeing friendly units, they're not going to be causing a morale break on the Nubian spears, which is useful for sure, especially in this army. My goodness. Yeah, look at this peasant with the 4 valor. Goddamn, dude. Calm down. Yeah, fine leader. Okay, so he's giving +4 morale to all these guys. Okay, shit. So despite the fact that it's a crap stack, they're going to have actually kind of decent morale because of him. Yeah, that's interesting. What about here in the garrison? More urban militia and a peasant? Yeah, okay. Well, we'll check out Antioch and Palestine and see what else they have. Hey, check it out. We just got ourselves another historical general. So Sir Hugh de Paynes, 4-star general in a unit of Royal Knights. And Great Warrior, +5 health. Not bad. Yeah, that's going to be very good. In fact, he might be a good general to lead my crusade. So that's an idea for sure. Yeah, I like that. Also, something that I hadn't really thought of. Yeah, this is actually good for us. The fact that there's a keep here. Now, that's going to make it more difficult to take. Now, luckily, there are no defensive upgrades currently. They might build some later on. So we could technically like hack our way through the outer wall if we wanted to. But then, even if it does, like, it will lose a level. So it's going to go down from a keep down to a fort. But still, that's going to save us the 4 turns that we would otherwise need to spend on building up a fort. So, yeah, you know, there's something there. And what do we have here in Antioch? Just a whole peasant stack. 1 unit of Nubian spears. Okay, so that's 2 units of Nubian spears that have 60 men in them. Wow, that's weird. And then peasants. And then it's going to be 2 of the sons, a 4-star general, and then a 3-star general. Great warrior for you. And then great warrior, chinless wonder. Oh, that's too bad. And then how about the Sultan himself? Jesus, just another crap stack of peasants. But then, yeah, more Gulam bodyguards. So, sure, you know, the heavy cav is formidable for sure. So 1-star general, 3-star general, killer instinct, so +2 valor for him. And then the Sultan himself, 3-star general. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so I'm thinking, yeah, archer heavy, line of spears to protect the archers, and then a couple, you know, like militia sergeants to hack through the generals, basically. And then a couple royal knights as well, maybe a couple hobblers just for running down all the enemy units. Yeah, that's kind of all we're going to really need to fight the Egyptians. And I got 11,000 in the bank so far. I'm not like saving up a super duper amount. Making 1487 per turn. But I'm kind of spending it as quickly as I'm making it, so I'm not really saving up more money. Hopefully that changes once I start getting more boats in the water and covering more ports. So that should change. Yeah, I got a boat here as well. So I can move these guys down here and then here. Yeah, I have to make it all the way down here. I can't prioritize this right now. This would be nice. It would be nice to get some, you know, fleets up here to trade with these ports. But really just connecting Brittany, I think. Because, yeah, I'm not going to have the Chapped House in Toulouse. It's going to be Brittany. Because this is, you know, not a border region. So it's safer. So connecting Brittany to Tripoli is going to be the priority here. Now, just counting sea regions here to see what the fastest way to Tripoli is going to be. If I have to go around Iberia and get to the Straits of Gibraltar, either going north along the northern part of the Mediterranean or the southern part of the Mediterranean. The southern part is going to be less sea regions. So that might be the way that I want to go, but it's a little bit... See, it's unfortunate because there's less ports down here. Sure, I can trade with Algeria and Tunisia, but as soon as I declare war against Egypt, that's going to be taking Egypt off of, you know, the trade menu, obviously, and Tripoli and Palestine as well. So yeah, there's not going to be as much money going south, and north is where all the money is, you know. So it's gonna, I'm gonna want to probably just get like another boat in the water here, so I can trade with these. Not Provence, because that's going to be land trade, but then Genoa, Tuscany, and Corsica. Yeah, that's probably worth it. I'd be trading silk, and I don't know what these provinces have. If they have silk, then I can't trade silk with places that have silk. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure. It might be worth having a bishop go take a peek at these places, so that maybe he can determine whether or not that boat would be worth it in that sea region, or if I should just really just focus on conquest, really, is it'd be the name of the game. Yeah, the timing here is going to be really interesting because I am working on getting that church built up here in Brittany. And then, yeah, getting, so it's 2 turns away. That's going to be another 4 turns for a chapter house, and then another 4 turns after that for a crusade marker. So that's going to be a total of 10 turns from now. That's going to be the year 1123. Is the soonest that I'm going to be getting a crusade marker ready. So 1123, 10 turns. I don't think that I'm going to have the boats ready in time. I have a lot of provinces now that are just now able to start training or building boats. So they'll be coming, you know, they will be coming, you know, relatively soon, but I don't think we're looking at like 1123 soon. So I don't want to feel like I'm super duper rushed on building military stuff, but I should start to think about it. In fact, I'm kind of going against my initial idea of going to feudal sergeants. After seeing the Egyptian armies, I'm like, damn, the regular basic spearmen would be enough to hold that front line. All I need is basic spears. Like, basic spears will lose to urban militia in a one-on-one fight, but you know, they'll just kind of hold that front line and protect the archers. And I don't have a swordsmith yet, but I could build a swordsmith and then start getting feudal men-at-arms out. And they could really dice their way through low armor tier units, you know, those urban militia and those peasants as well. Actually, yeah, that's tempting. That's tempting. Like, just completely forego spears and militia sergeants in general and just go swords as a generalist unit that's really good at chopping through lightly armored guys. You know, not great at taking a cav charge, and the Egyptians do have their, you know, their bodyguard dudes. But if I had swords backed up by like a couple militia sergeants and then, you know, my own feudal royal knights, that's enough, I would say, to chop down those Ghulam bodyguards. Is going to be my idea. So yeah, that might be the way that I want to go. That can really cut down on the upkeep that I'll be paying for sword units. I don't know what the upkeep is for sword units off the top of my head, but I know that spears are substantial just because they're bigger units. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, peace.